Hi. Welcome back to another episode on the Healthy Wisdom series with Dr. Jen Chen. Today, we're on part 2 of the Wisdom of Culture, and we're going to be focusing on the food and drinks aspect within. Now, call me a foodie or a snob, but I'm one of those people who'd rather pay a little more for quality and taste than go for the less appetizing buffet for cheap. I mean, eating is one of my favorite activities, and my love for good food was even on the big 5 requirements that I listed on my search for a partner in life. And it's one of those aspects that I absolutely would not compromise on. Because you know what? Once upon a time, I did date someone who did not have an appreciation for good food. And honestly, I was really miserable. I think, growing up Asian has also taught me a thing or two about, loving delicious food. And I do find that, through food, we express our love and hospitality as a culture. I mean, food is really like one of those special ways for people to connect and also be able to share, a part of who we are, with one another. So today I wanted to do a feature on one of my ultimate favorite items that literally doubles up as a drink and a snack food. And drum roll please. You've guessed it. It's bubble tea. I mean, seriously, bubble tea is all the rage right now. It is such a cool snack. It is considered a drink. I mean, it's like literally like I call it an explosion because it's just so amazing. Now, for those of you who have not tried bubble tea, I mean, listen up. And obviously, for those who are kind of connoisseurs and you know it and you love it, well, I've got some cool history that'll open up your eyes and maybe even make you fall in love with it all over again. So here's the thing. We all know that bubble tea, I mean, nowadays, we know that bubble tea is often associated with, Taiwan. And it is true because it did originate in Taiwan in the early 1980s. Now, the interesting thing about it is what we call bubble tea is not really what we currently know as the drink that it is today. Now, back in the day, bubble tea actually had no tapioca pearls in there. So the bubbles that described the bubble tea was actually to describe like a foamy bubble layer that was formed when there was like vigorous shaking of like, almost like they would use like a metallic container, very much like, a cocktail container. And what they would do is they would put ice and tea, like, like freshly brewed tea, and the vigorous shaking would form the bubbles, and the tea would get chilled by the ice, and the mixing concoction is what we would call bubble tea. And back in the 1980s, in Taiwan, that's how little tea stands, would serve up this really refreshing drink. And it was kind of like a cultural thing because, Taiwanese people, we work hard, and the weather on the island is so hot that's literally like a nice chilled drink is probably, I'd say, the best little reward that you can give yourself at the end of a hard, long day of work. So that's how bubble tea came to be. But interestingly enough, tapioca pearls were kind of accidentally associated or, got combined with bubble tea. So what happened was around 1983, there's this bubble tea house that had, there was this lady that worked for that tea house. And, she had brought tapioca pearls as a little dessert, which, is very common in Taiwan. Back in the day, they would use tapioca pearls on like, the little icy desserts. actually, those icy desserts are really delicious. We could probably do a little sort of plug for that on another episode. But tapioca pearls were one of those ingredients that they would put in icy desserts and, soupy desserts that we would make as a nice little ending to a meal or like a little snack in the middle of the day to kind of boost your energy. So what she did was, because she worked at the tea house, she had a glass of like milk tea, this bubble tea, and just out of, I guess boredom, she decided to kind of like throw her tapioca pearls into the bubble tea that she had. And interestingly enough, when she took a sip, she just kind of amazed herself. She's like, oh my God, this concoction is amazing. And so what she did was she shared it with the rest of her coworkers, and the bubble tea house started to serve that as one of their options on the menu. And so this is sort of like one of the legends that has kind of come out as one of the, I guess, the originators of the modern day pearl milk tea. And so that's how the name pearl milk tea came about, because it was a combination of the tapioca pearls with the bubble tea. And so I guess in some ways, bubble tea, or I should say those small tea stands that sold bubble tea, they're literally found in every corner in like this country. And so what happened was that competition was pretty fierce. And so this other tea house owner, what he wanted to do was make his tea stand out. And so instead of the small tapioca pearls that was sort of like the or original type of tapioca pearls, which, I mean, if you want to get really exact, it's 1/12 of an inch. And those were what we call, so tapioca pearls. And what he did was he decided he wanted bigger pearls. And so he made these pearls, tapioca balls, we should call them, that were 1/4 of an inch, so quite significantly larger. And what he did was he was really creative because he wanted to stand out. And what he did was he named it a different name altogether. And in Chinese, it's called po ba. And po ba, just like how we analyze the word for crisis, po ba actually can be broken down into two words as well. Po meaning bubble, and ba meaning huge or domineering. And so how he came up with this name was he wanted something provocative and something that people could, remember. So when he put these two words together, the interesting part is that it's slang for big boobs or big breasts. So really, really cool. And it's interesting to see how, competition, it kind of forces people to push some boundaries, become creative, and evolve, right? So that's how the third name for bubble milk tea came about, and it's called boba. And in the Western world, we generally spell it B-O-B-A. So B as in baby, B-O-B-A. So you would say boba. So boba milk tea would be the third name that it's known for. So that's sort of the interesting I guess, the modern day history of how it came about. But I gotta tell you, man, I was fascinated by the history of my favorite drink in the whole wide world. And I was so excited when I found out that there's actually a place that was dedicated to sort of covering the history and teaching people about how to make bubble tea and just everything about bubble tea. So it was kind of like a mini bubble tea museum that they opened up in Taiwan in Yilan County. So really cool. Last summer I had a chance to go visit this place, and it's called Kili Bay Bubble Tea Cultural Center. How cool. Oh my God, bubble tea lovers, you do not want to miss out. This was such a fun place. And of course, you get to drink boba and pearl milk tea over there. And they had such a great selection, and the kids had such a blast. I mean, I had such a blast. So I was really lucky that I got to check it out last summer. So if you ever get a chance to go to Taiwan, absolutely, and you love boba lai ta, then you absolutely want to check out the Kili Bay Bubble Tea Cultural Center. So here's the thing. Did you know that tapioca pearls actually existed way back in the day? I mean, I'm talking like way back, as in like more than 300 years ago, in the Qing dynasty. I mean, in Western years, that's like in the 1600s. That's crazy, right? I would have never thought. And so this is something that I learned when I went through that sort of museum display. I was like, wow, are you freaking kidding me? That is so cool. So what happened was I learned this amazing story about tapioca pearls. It was said that during, the Qing dynasty, and we all know that one of the most significant rulers in the Qing dynasty was Empress Dowager Cixi, and she actually ruled for 5 decades. In the late 1860s, all the way till the early 1900s. I mean, this woman was power crazy. So it was said that uh, Taiwanese officials would present to the empress a gift on her birthday, and this gift was a sweet delicacy, a sweet dessert that was made from a starch that was derived from the cassava root, which they called tapioca. And these tapioca balls resembled little pearl-like shapes and had the pearlescent shine. And so they called it tapioca pearls. And so it was sort of touted that Cixi, I mean, fell in love with it when she first tasted it. And the history goes on. Tapioca pearls then became a sweet delicacy, even fit for the imperial palace. Amazing, right? So I'd like to just, sometimes, imagine that I have the palate and the taste of an imperial woman. So it's just a little fantasy that I kind of indulge in once in a while. But I gotta say, today I wanted to share with you as I would consider myself a bubble tea connoisseur, but it's just because I absolutely love it so much that I have probably tried, I'd say most, if not all, of the different possibilities and brands out there. I mean, I am Taiwanese. If I don't know bubble tea, I don't know who else, right? So I have to do my culture proud. So what I did was I kind of gathered up like three really important things that I feel you need to know for you to have like the best first experience with bubble tea that is authentic. So the first thing that I think is super important is to have really good tapioca pearls. I have to say the best part of bubble tea, I mean, the hallmark of excellent bubble tea is the tapioca pearls. I mean, us Taiwanese people, we love these pearls to be chewy but still soft. So if you ever find yourself chewing and you encounter like a hard center, those are pearls that have been undercooked or they have gone stale from refrigeration. So it does not have the right consistency of what we say in Chinese, QQ, a type of chewiness that I described. It has to be chewy but still soft. And I've got it down to a science, literally. So if you buy a bubble tea from a place that serves you pearls that has, a hard center, don't go back. I would not frequent that place ever again. Okay, so here's the science. I have gotten it down that if you can chew the pearls and it's got its consistency between about 5 to 7 times, and it doesn't disintegrate in your mouth like and go mushy, then that is a good QQ pearl. Okay, and if it does disintegrate or melt within a couple of chews, then you know that those pearls have been either overcooked or they're of poor quality, the cheapy quality types of pearls. And there are different grades of pearls. I mean, obviously I had to kind of, sort of focus on, what are the most important things. So, I mean, I could go into a lot more analytics, but if you ever do want more analytics, I mean, seriously, check out my Instagram. I just started it. I've had so many people ask me to put more information about bubble tea because I'm so passionate about it and I literally have it down to a science. So